Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews up in New York. Today, the country heard the final case for the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. Like a prosecutor's summation to the jury, counsel for the House Judiciary Committee told America how the president abused his power and obstructed the Congress. And today was the last scheduled public hearing before the House majority, and there's articles of impeachment this week against President Trump. Lawmakers heard from lawyers representing both the Democratic majority and the Republican minority, each making their final closing case in this phase of the House's impeachment drive. Democratic counsel Danny Goldman summarized the 300-page report from the House Intelligence Committee, highlighting the overwhelming evidence, he said, that showed the president abused his power. He said there's an urgency to now stopping him. Citing Rudy Giuliani's latest expedition to Ukraine for more political dirt, for example, Goldman said the president's solicitation of foreign interference represents a clear and present danger to this country.
President Trump's persistent and continuing effort to coerce a foreign country to help him cheat to win an election is a clear and present danger to our free and fair elections and to our national security. The evidence from these witnesses cannot seriously be disputed. The president placed his personal interests above the nation's interests in order to help his own re-election efforts.
Most important, Goldman made clear that from start to finish, the president himself was directing the scheme to extort Ukraine. Here's how he answered a series of rapid-fire questions posed by Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Who sent Rudy Giuliani to Ukraine to smear Joe Biden?
President Trump.
Who fired the anti-corruption ambassador in Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch?
President Trump.
Who told Ambassador Sondland and Ambassador Volker to work with Rudy Giuliani on Ukraine?
President Trump.
Who told Vice President Pence to not go to President Zelensky's inauguration?
President Trump.
Who ordered his own chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, to withhold critical military assistance for Ukraine?
President Trump.
Who asked President Zelensky for a favor?
President Trump.
Who personally asked President Zelensky to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden?
President Trump.
So as it relates to President Trump, is he an incidental player or a central player in this scheme?
President Trump is the central player in this scheme.
That was so well done. The Republicans' counsel, Steve Castor, offered a bizarre explanation for Trump's July call with Ukrainian President Zelensky. That's the conversation, of course, where the president personally asked Zelensky for two investigations, one into Joe Biden, the other into that discredited conspiracy theory that it was Ukraine, not Russia, that interfered in the 2016 American election. Well, the Republican counsel said Trump's intent in that call was to help the United States, I love this, move forward after the Russian probe.
To impeach a president who 63 million people voted for over 8 lines in a call transcript is baloney. Contrary to Democrat allegations, President Trump was not asking for a favor that would help his reelection. He was asking for assistance in helping our country move forward from the divisiveness of the Russia collusion investigation.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.